Part 2.
Every day, a constant reminder that we as trans people have so few friends, so few allies. Every day, a reminder that the game industry and community are contemptuous.
No, they're really not, honestly. Because like I pointed out, gamers are willing to overstep any boundaries for whatever cause they see fit whenever they want to see some actual change in something, or when they just want to fucking play a video game. Like, yeah, you might occasionally hear some guy in the game chat shout the British cigarette word and such. Or they might call you a retard or something like that. Guess what? That's fucking life. But at the end of the day, you're all wanting to play a fucking video game. Make the most of it. Also, I find it funny that Jim wants to complain about trans people having so few friends and so few allies and such, which that in itself is a term meant to breed division and such. PSA Sitch already broke that down, but to summarize, if you use the term ally, you're essentially saying, I just want your help for this one short time and then I never want anything to do with you again. And that's why I don't bother with people who use that word. Just a little fun fact there. Anyway, what the fuck was I even on about? Fucking gamers being so hostile and such and so contemptuous. I wonder fucking why when you have an attitude like that.
You know, as much as y'all gamers TM have tried, you've not owned me by posting the glowing review scores for Hog Warsh Legacy or boasting about its sales success. That just proves what I knew, that people don't give a fuck. That's not new information, it's not a surprise, it's half of the course.
And yet screeching gremlins like yourself have made such a big fucking deal about the fact that the game is going to sell well and it's going to have glowing reviews and such. So of course they're going to bring this up to you. You're only pretending to not be surprised.
Those of you actively trying to harass me over it aren't the actual offensive ones. No, the offense comes purely from the self-described allies who want to have it both ways, who want to play their wizard game and get really upset when criticized over it.
Again, I wouldn't be surprised since you're actively using terms rooted in fucking division. So you're getting exactly what you asked for, and you don't even realize it. You're that fucking dense.
Or the media outlets who justify their uncritical reviews by having the fucking nerve to compare our protests against them to fucking Gamergate.
Yo, is this person fucking retarded?
As cringy as Gamergate got at the end of it all, it bears a striking resemblance to people protesting over baseless accusations, just because of a few small bad apples.
Transphobes, you need to up your game, because none of you will ever be as insulting as a self-styled cis ally who wants trans people's permission to not take a stand. Oh, and I love how the same gamers TM who spent nearly 10 years calling game reviewers corrupt suddenly started trusting and touting them when a game they rallied around got 8s and 9s. Some of them even tried to twist Gamergate's ethics in game journalism pretext to defend outlets like IGN from criticism.
It wasn't bad enough that they had to bring it up once back when Elden Ring came out, when it had absolutely no place in it. Now we've had to hear the word twice, and you wonder why people accuse you of being stuck in the past. Also, for once, the game journalists and the people supporting them, they're in the right. At least the ones that aren't contributing to the controversy, like fucking Wired and such. But as for the others that actually want to review the game on its own merits and such, yeah, it makes perfect sense for the people to rally behind that. Because yes, people have been rallying for the reviewers, specifically because certain reviewers have said they don't want to touch it because of this fucking controversy. Whether they want to laugh at the reviews or to actually have something credible to gauge whether it's worth buying. Of course people are going to want that and are going to take a stand saying, yes, go for it, we got your back, when a company is literally cowering because of crybullies on the internet complaining about transphobia where there is none.
IGN! Suddenly, the Ethics Brigade are standing for IGN, the Too Much Water website, the site whose credibility they've done nothing but meme.
IGN gets absolutely no love from me, and I've made that pretty fucking clear. But in this situation where they were literally backed into a corner where they can't give a bad review, they knew they were going to be fucked one way or the other, so they decided not to bother at all. And people wanted them to actually do it. Again, for a variety of reasons, but for the most part, because they have the right to review it. Because they do it for everything else, why should this one be excluded just because a bunch of crybullies say so? Because it would call into a bunch of hypocrisy of how they're not going to do it because a bunch of people point out the fact that there are supposed transphobes benefiting from this. Yet IGN would be more than willing to review a game funded by Saudi Arabia, which has way worse anti-LGBT practices. And the list of reasons as to why people rally behind fucking IGN goes on, and they're all 110% justified. This is a controversy and people wanted a review. End of. They should have gotten it. They shouldn't have had to make such a big stand out of this. Also, I love that they bring up the too much water meme as if it has any relevance whatsoever in this. IGN is absolutely retarded, but us gamers, we're inclusive to retards, so what does that say about you?
know I'm not changing any minds here. The bigots and Potter fans and people who just want to enjoy a video game made their decision. The allies who want to separate art from artists or hate JKR but just always wanted to Skyrim or Hogwarts made their decision. And regardless of intent, all of you look exactly the same to JK Rowling.
Well, no fucking shit.
I'm sure she's had plenty of laughs from this at least, though, so there's that.
See, while people have tried to justify Hogwarts Legacy by saying JKR had no direct involvement, that doesn't change the fact she makes direct money from sales.
Well, no fucking shit.
Duh. Literally no one has denied the fact that she's going to make some kind of money. Fact is, she's going to be making considerably less money than what she makes from things like the theme parks, which conveniently no one ever brings up when talking about this. So the fact that Rowling makes money off of this game's success is essentially a fucking nothing burger. The biggest nothing burger of the entire controversy, honestly.
More importantly, it doesn't change the truly insidious aspect of Harry Potter's continued success. JKR takes it as explicit endorsement of her views.
I'm not a Harry Potter fan. I tapped out by like the 5th movie and I can't remember a fucking thing from any of the books, but I struggle to recall any bit of transphobia in those books that would be justified by the success of said franchise. Like, what? Maybe Rowling's become a transphobe now, later, after the fact that she's already become successful. You can debate that all you want, but to say that the franchise is what's emboldened her oh-so-bad views and such, that's fucking retarded. And again, like I pointed out last time, if someone really wants to emulate their success in order to, be emboldened by whatever their controversial views are and such, they got a long road ahead of them. And if they're that dedicated, they've earned it. As far as I'm concerned anyways.
She thinks the success of Harry Potter means people agree with her, and she's said so before.
I'm not going to deny the fact that there are certain retards that say Harry Potter's successful, so therefore everything Rowling says goes. People have made similar bad faith arguments in things like The fucking Last Jedi and how it's supposedly good because it made $2 billion and such. But I highly doubt any intelligent person has ever said that Rowling is right because of the success of Harry Potter.
There is no difference in hers or any other TERF's mind between the people who bought Hogwarts because they wanted a fun wizard game and the people spite buying it to demonstrate the powerlessness trans people already feel.
Well, no fucking shit.
Intent doesn't matter. You're all just supporters to her. You are all permission.
I'd also like to point out the number of people that have decided, you know what, we'll instead donate money to the fucking Trevor Project or whatever fucking charities there are to support trans people, whether it's because they're streaming the game and they're going to donate all their money they make on said stream to said charity, or people saying, yeah, we're going to boycott the game and we're going to instead put the money towards it. What few people actually did that shit after someone like Ackman pointed it out. Like, yeah, I'd just like to remind people of the fact that some people did that and they were demonized all the same. There is literally no winning when it comes to activists like this.
This is why you aren't an ally if you buy Hogwarts Legacy.
I'm only going to bring it up one more time so that I can really drill it into the ground, but I'm glad I'm not a fucking ally. I do feel for the people that just don't feel comfortable in their own skin and just want to express themselves in a certain way. As long as they're adults doing it, I got no problem. As long as they're not assaulting people, I got no problem. At the same time, I'm not going to bend over backwards for them just because of what they have between their legs. I'm not going to do that for anyone unless I'm sleeping with them, so I'm proud to not be an ally, and I think everyone else should be too.
No, buying the game doesn't make you a transphobe, and I'm tired of hearing the self-martyring whinging about that. I'm not saying you're transphobic for buying Hogwarts Legacy. I'm saying you're not an ally. You handed that card in because you couldn't do the barest minimum. You couldn't make the simplest stand. It's not that hard to not buy a AAA video game.
Bruh, just listen to how douchey that sounds. Oh, you could've just not bought the game. It was very easy. It's not that hard. Yeah, I guess it isn't that hard to rob yourself of something that you actively want. Just imagine if the shoe was on the other foot and someone told you that you didn't have to transition. After all, you said the benefits are just people giving you more compliments and feeling more comfortable about yourself. Imagine if someone told you you could have gotten all that just by getting on the treadmill every once in a while. Yeah, that'd be a pretty douchey thing to say.
You chose a product over people.
So did you, and you paid for all the electronics that made this piece of shit video, since every single one of them came from a factory run by child slaves in China.
And in doing so, you helped J.K. Rowling say things like this when asked how it feels to have alienated so many queer fans.
I read my most recent royalty checks and find the pain goes away pretty quickly.
So we helped Rowling make her own joke? Okay, I didn't know she was that bad of a comedian.
That's what you do. You empower a fascist-supporting transphobe.
Shitty people make money from whatever things you buy all the time. In other words, water is wet. Like, if you really don't want to see Rowling get any of your money, that's fine. That's totally understandable. For me, I haven't used Netflix in several years and I'm never going to. both because I don't think there's anything worth watching, because I think the quality's really gone downhill, and because they were willing to lose $9 billion just to market things to pedophiles. So yeah, fuck that company. I don't want to support them. Guess what? Several of my friends still watch them. Do I make such a big fuss about them? No. That's their choice, their money.
Some of you celebrate that you've done it. Some of you wring your hands and excuse it. The result's the same. So enjoy! Not a single one of you are under any obligation to refuse this game. I'm not demanding it of you, and I'm not going to say you're an inherently bad person for it.
What a load of bullshit!
But I do not trust you. I can't count on you. Can't think you have our backs. I can't feel safe with you. And sorry, but you don't get to feel hurt by that.
I don't, so goody on me.
You get to enjoy your media product. I get to remember every digital storefront that took a Hogwarts sponsorship, every games journalist that promoted it, every platform and company that embraced it, and I get to remember that when Pride Month rolls around and the performative allyship begins. Your rainbow logos won't count for shit.
As if they ever fucking would have. Holy shit, that was such a bad fucking joke. Oh, I'm only laughing because it's the only way to keep myself from jumping off the stool.
It hardly needs to be said, but any of you who claimed you bought it to support the developers can especially get in the bin. Oh, they worked hard and should be supported. That's probably the dumbest attempt to lionize consumerism I've ever seen. I've seen this excuse so much, and I'm like, how dare you?
How dare they point out the fact that yes, people did work on it, work pretty hard on it for a matter of fact. I mean, I'll agree that the argument kinda sucks when people pull it on dog shit media like fucking Last Jedi and such like that. God damn, I'm starting to sound like geeks and gamers by bringing that up so much, but it's a good example. People brought that fucking non-argument up and look how well that worked out. It's still a shit movie. Anyway, enough tangents about fucking Star Wars. Fucking Star Wars sucks. But in the case of this one where, I don't know, maybe it is a bad fucking story and a bad game overall. I haven't heard that much because I haven't heard much coverage at all, but at the same time, people do need to get a fucking paycheck at some point, so...
How dare you lie to me so fucking brazenly? You don't buy games just to support developers, you buy them because you want to play them.
Well, no fucking shit.
I know I'm getting a lot of mileage out of that meme for this video, but fuck, it absolutely earned it.
Tell me, do you buy literally every single game that's ever made and released? If you're motivated purely by dev support, that's what you do, right?
Wow. Wow, such a bad argument. The only people that have ever said they're gonna buy it to support the developers were people that wanted to buy it because they wanted to play this game in particular. No shit, people aren't gonna buy every single fucking video game under the sun just to support those developers. That's insane. People would have no money whatsoever at that point. Like, holy shit, what a way to move the goalpost.
Every game's developed by game developers, so why don't you buy every game, every single one? Get the fuck out of here with blatant bullshit. Of course it's bollocks from a results standpoint too. The devs got paid already.
Some of them have, yes. The guys on the lowest rung of the ladder are wage workers. Of course they're going to be guaranteed their $14 an hour, or whatever their rate is. However, there are certain people within the development studio that solely rely on the continued success of the game in order to get a paycheck. So, nice way of showing that you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
They get paid for their work up front. Unlike JKR, they don't get royalty checks. They're not the ones supported by your purchase. She is. Warner Brothers is. Those are the beneficiaries.
No, it's more the Warner employees, and even then it's mostly the bigwigs at the top, but hey, of course we're going to leave that detail out. I don't know why we're leaving that detail out, because as I pointed out, Warner Brothers is notorious for working with anti-LGBT groups like the Middle East and such. But hey, selective outrage at its finest, you know?
As we've discussed on this show before, game studios mostly live or die regardless of the success of one game, and thanks to the way public companies work, they're sometimes hurt by it, as layoffs often follow an influx of revenue to maintain the illusion of financial growth. Corporations don't operate based on customer support. If they did, we'd get more single-player games and fewer ones based around financially exploiting a minority of whale players.
I don't think I've heard someone dismantle their own non-argument better than this. Corporations don't rely on customer support, yet their products live and die by said customer support. Someone needs to fire whoever is writing your scripts, and if it's yourself, never pick up a pen again, never open Word. You are a hack and no one is even laughing at you anymore.
And honestly, fuck any of you who've come at me in the past few months with that excuse or any other excuse that attempts to paint your purchase of a video game in a noble light. You're not noble. You're not a fucking hero. Play the game if you must, but don't you dare tell me you did it for any reason other than self-service.
Nah, I hope they keep on telling you, that way you can keep on coping like this. It's making the video retroactively more entertaining.
Don't you ever look to me for validation, expect me to assuage your guilt, toss hypothetical scenarios at me that you think allow you to have it both ways. Just play your fucking wizard game. How you feel about that is not my problem. You clearly decided how we feel isn't yours.
It isn't. People are buying the game because they want to play a fucking video game. They don't give a shit about social issues when buying that. You can tout them all you want, but you look like the vegans protesting McDonald's. Everyone knows a cow has to die in order to get that food. Guess what? People still want it, so it's gonna happen. Only guess what? People aren't dying from people buying a fucking Harry Potter game. Someone is making money that you don't like. End of. And if they go on to support some laws or some legislation that would supposedly affect you down the line, that's a future problem for you to handle in the ballot box, not in a fucking video game discussion.
Cis feelings aren't our responsibility. It's so telling that the only real coverage of alleged harassment in games media this week has been about cis streamers getting upset at some mild pushback. It's a really old play. Whenever trans people advocate for themselves, we're painted as unreasonable bullies.
Probably because these extremists that make these problems and such are rarely ever called out, and in fact are emboldened by pieces of shit like you. It's the same old story as Black Panthers causing race riots and such, and yet are never called out and instead it's blamed on white people, because that's easier to say, and it makes for a more controversial story. Thus people get too caught up in nitpicking all the little details that don't really matter, and the next thing you know, all chance at an intelligent conversation is gone. Dead. Kaput. And if you want to see that stop, it starts with people like you, who have a voice, who could make some kind of difference in that perception, who could persuade one or two more people. But instead, we're going to pander to the extremists who make several different accounts just to continue the harassment, and in actuality make the problems even worse. It's a tale as old as time.
Unsurprisingly, I've been asked to answer for the alleged harassment because minorities are always expected to take responsibility for each other. You know what? I'll answer it when I can go a day online without someone saying something truly vile about me, when I can stream without harassment myself, when I can post a selfie without being called a man or getting some other derogatory comment, when what trans people go through gets as much attention in the press, and when I feel people give as much of a shit about all of us as one cis person. If all that happens, I'll prostrate myself before you on behalf of all transes everywhere.
So in other words, you're never going to call it the bad apples unless some fantasy comes real. Quite telling. Good to know. Makes it all the more easier to never watch another one of your videos again.
Until then, this'll do.
Checked out the big one that they're hailing as like the innocent streamer who got harassed off of the live stream. And what I have learned is that y'all genuinely think that accountability and basic criticism is the same thing as harassment and discrimination. Here we have somebody saying OMG transphobia because obviously they think that it's a big joke. And then, well, that's kind of disappointing. Then we have yikes. Then we have, yeah, I don't care how much you donate to Trevor Project, I'm done, unfollowed so fast.
Personally speaking, yeah, I'd take those comments and I'd laugh at them. I revel in controversy like that. It's funny. The woman in question, though, had a problem. A pretty big fucking problem with it. And it was a problem that never should have happened because of how stupid this controversy is. And I love the fact that one person is literally saying that we don't care how much you donate, you're still bad because of this. Again, there was no winning. People didn't want a solution, they just wanted to cry. And at that point, yeah, that would sour someone's mood.
Sorry, can't support this, goodbye, very disappointing. You can really feel the discrimination, and there are tons of video games, guys. And here we have the comments they just let slide on through, like Rowling is a good person. Didn't have a problem with that one.
Probably because people are making an absolute mountain out of a molehill with this. Because as I more than demonstrated about an hour ago, you really gotta twist and turn your head at a certain angle in order to interpret this as some kind of transphobic activities from Rowling, since most of it is rooted in guilt by association. But on the off chance that yes, she is an actual transphobe and she isn't that good of a person, oh well, she has nothing to do with this, so I don't know why anyone's even bringing her up. Unless they're just joking about the controversy. At that point, yeah, I just laugh at it. Something you dumbasses are incapable of doing, so...
And then she had to step away, and then she came back, and then they continued to stream for another 6 hours. And here's the thing, it wasn't even a comment that made her cry from what I could see. It was her and her boyfriend fighting this imaginary angry trans person, and her getting more and more overwhelmed at her defending herself against somebody who wasn't there.
Again, I don't know the full context, so for all I know, this person could be absolutely right in the fact that there was no actual trans person being offended that caused this, but when compounded with all the other people making a big deal out of this, I can see how it could have been. But above all, I think the imaginary person, quotations, was deleted or banned from the stream, and that's why you can't see it. Just a playful thought. And hey, if I'm wrong on that. I don't give a shit. I'm just glad this video is almost over.
Boycotts don't work.
Well, no fucking shit.
I said that about, I don't know, 10 years ago, and boy, people love flinging that one at me lately. I think there's still some truth to that, though looking back, it really is just what people are using it for. Permission to not take a stand.
Or they're pointing out how absurd the idea is. Just a playful thought again. Because again, shameless plug to my original video, this entire boycott was broken from the start. In so many different ways, and people bringing up the fact that boycotts don't work are only bringing it up because this is a prime example.
I like how people appropriate developing things on capitalism. Regardless, I know that in this case, boycott would never vote. It's having hot time. People don't care about trans people to make chaos for attention. Boycott is not right. It's not what most people point out was boycott policy is harmful to at least get people to think about the elections, to be honest, and to find out where I really well. We certainly have that. We don't have many, and we're sadly in charge. For me, it's not about stopping you buying Hogwarts, but to get you to accept the accountability of it.
Well, I didn't buy the game, so I got nothing to be accountable for. I just grifted the fuck out of this because it's funny. And as for the people that have bought it, well, they got themselves a good game, and that's about it. And like I said, Rowling has probably had plenty of laughs over this, and is gonna have plenty more to come for however long this controversy is left alive.
I know many of you want to consume guilt-free, but I'm not the girl who's gonna condone that. It's really quite simple. If you buy it, you're not a trans ally. Yes, it's that stark an either-or choice, and this is coming from someone who rejects the binary whenever possible. You might not be against us, but you're either with us, or you aren't.
Because of course we live in a world of black and whites. We totally don't want any division here. Nope, none at all. And we're totally not masters of shooting ourselves in the foot, and today is fucking opposite day.
Have fun Skyrimming a Hogwarts. And Merry Turfmas.
And just like that, the video is over. It ends on cringe-ass jokes and, of course, the return of that god-awful corset. Oh my god. I'm not gonna torture you all with that. Even with random shit, it's just not worth it. So yeah, a good old reminder of everything we've just learned today. Trans activists are more hungry for division than unity. How shocking. Let's see here. We live in a world of black and whites, and we absolutely have to have some kind of moral stance of every single product ever made. And we have to make such a big deal about it, so yeah. There's your key takeaways for the day. Class dismissed. And until next time, I will thankfully talk to y'all later about something other than Harry Potter. Cause short of some psychopath going full retard and calling someone's mother to tattle on them, I don't see myself covering this controversy anymore. But if something major does come up and some people request it, yeah, I'll consider. Hey, it's Future Country here. It's a good thing I left that little asterisk in there, cause it looks like my predictions are pretty fucking accurate, as always. Because it turns out some VTuber chick and her mom have been doxxed and harassed by these gasoline chuggers who can't stand to see anyone having fun streaming this motherfucking game. And even after having a few days to process this information, I'm still just fucking speechless. So there's no immediate plans to make a video on that situation right now, because I just don't know what to say other than fuck whoever did this. The world would be a better place if you just sang Freebird into a plastic bag. And because it's kind of a moving story, and I do have a bit of skepticism, mostly because of the last time we had a crying chick complaining about something happening in her life, and streaming it while it happened. But I'm willing to keep an eye on this and be empathetic enough, because doxing does suck. And all the same, I might as well milk this to the last drop, so yeah. If I do find more information on this topic, I will make a video, but for now, there's no immediate plans. And one final note that I didn't think of back when I was doing my first recording of this, because I was just so tired. You can hear how short I've been with this video, because this was a few minutes after the initial video. I just took a short break and I was still just so tired of Jim's shit that this part just completely skipped my mind. So I just have one question for you here, Jimmy. Since you've made such a big deal about Rowling and her supporters getting money and being emboldened by their controversial views, since you made such a big deal about how people spend their money, since you're so pissed at the people calling themselves allies while still spending money on something they want, and since you're so fucking afraid of the future of trans people that you've declared genocide as a matter of when, not a matter of if, I gotta ask you, why are the only links in your description things for people to pay you specifically? Where are the charities that could come in handy in preventing something like that and could make more trans laws and could make trans legislation a little bit easier for you all? I wonder why those aren't there. I mean, surely you care about the future of trans people and this isn't some kind of performance from the circus freak. Oh, what's that? It is? And in other news, water is wet? Good to know. Well, you can be happy to know that the charity links are in someone's description. I'm not pointing this out so that I can prove how much of a good boy I am that deserves more head pats and biscuits and such, no. I'm pointing this out just so I can be a spiteful motherfucker. But they're there and you can do whatever you want with them, and I'll fully admit the only reason they weren't in the first videos is because I forgot and I was just fucking lazy. So I've corrected that, and here we go. And with that being said, I think I'm ready to close the pin on Jim. Someone suggested covering their Atomic Heart video whenever they do eventually make a rant about it, and to that I say, maybe down the line. I need a palate cleanser after this. I'm kinda sick of Jim, and I'm a little sick of grifting Harry Potter right now, so... But like I said, I'm still willing to keep an eye on this, see if there's anything new coming up on this. But until something like that does come around, this is where we're going to pump the brakes on Hogwarts Legacy and this whole controversy, so I hope you all enjoyed this. And I just want to say thank you all for the support the channel's gotten recently. You guys have killed it. And in the next few weeks I should have a little bit more free time to work on some videos, so who knows what we're going to see next. Until it comes around, I'll talk to y'all later.